Okay, so my name is Megan Lallo, and I chose to do the costume design for Anna and the Tropics. So I just researched 1920 cigar factory. Cigar smoking was the most common cigar business. It employed so many people before merchandise manufacturing of cigars became practical. This is just a photo of the inside of a cigar factory, which helped me see what workers wore. You can see the men are dressed in plain white shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve, and they have on hats. I researched Picture Collector. You can see him up there reading. He's dressed nicer than the men and women working. You can see the men and women are just wearing aprons, and the women are wearing dresses to work. Collector read while seated on a raised platform so all the workers could see and hear him. And he was paid by the factory's workers to read things like newspapers and novels while they worked to educate them and to keep them entertained. For this, I researched a picture of the 1920s cockfight to help me picture what I would put Aladies in. And during the 1920s and 1930s, this is when cockfighting became restored, and gambling was taken very seriously with the sport, as you can see in the play when Santiago and Che were gambling. These are just pictures of men's clothing, and men's wear in the 1920s was not very different from men's business attire today. They wore things like suits, ties, vests, and suspenders, and hats. And for more formal events, they would wear tuxedos. These are just a couple of the accessories I looked up, which the hat was the fedora, which was the felt hat most commonly worn by men, which the height of the hat's popularity was in the 1920s during this play, and then fell out during the 1950s. And then down at the bottom I had the spectator shoe, which was also worn in the play. And this style of shoe dates from the 19th century, but reached the height of its popularity during the 1920s and 1930s. These are just pictures of women's clothing while they worked. As you can see, women did still dress up while they worked. Very few women in the 1920s wore pants in public. They wore skirts or dresses even when working, and many wore aprons over their dresses to keep them from getting ruined. These are some accessories that the women wore. Up at the top is the cloak hat, which was the fitted bell-shaped hat for women, which became popular during the 1920s. And down at the bottom is just a picture of pearls. A number of accessories were important to the women's wardrobe in the 1920s, including long strands of pearls, bangles, earrings. Also, for the first time in centuries, women's legs were being shown, and their hemlines were rising to the knee and a little above the knee, and the dresses were becoming much more fitted. And shoes and stockings became the focus of more attention as fashion items once their visibility increased due to the raised hemlines on the dresses. So once I did that research, I decided to make my visual representation into the book. So this is the page I did for Santiago. Since he was the owner of the factory, I decided to put him in a much more nicer outfit. He has on black suit pants, and you can see the shoes I talked about there. He has a fedora and a red tie just to show his power, since he's the owner. For Palomo, he wasn't a huge character, and he was a worker in the factory. He didn't have much power, so I just decided to put him in typical clothing with the khaki pants, the long sleeve button down, and the vest. And I didn't think it was necessary to have his costume completely changed, so during the second act, when he becomes much more jealous of Conchita, you could change the vest to a more color, like a light green. For Juan Julian, I just put him in a white pants and a white suit jacket to show his differences from the rest of the people and to show his empowerment. For Che Che, I just put him in khaki pants and a white button down with suspenders. So suspenders were popular, except the suspenders I want to be red to show that he's kind of crazy. And again, I didn't change his costume completely, but color changes could be made to Act 2. Just have him in a more gray button down and change the pants from a khaki to a black. For Conchita, she was the oldest of the sisters, and I kind of dressed all the women alike. This would be her work dress, and it's a light blue, which I thought reflected her personality, because she was sad at the beginning of the play. And for her more formal attire, since she was the older sister, I put her in a much more fitted dress with a collar to show her that she's much more sophisticated. And I thought the color was also well represented because it's a peachy color. which would like represent her like a fair at in scene 2 of the play. For Marilla, I picked a light blue dress to represent her innocence. This is what she would wear to work. And then I thought it was important to put the fur coat that she wore to show like her shift from innocence to much more maturity. And lastly, for Ophelia, I put her in a long skirt and a blouse for work, and then a white fitted dress just to show like her sophistication and since she was the oldest of the women. So I thought that fit her very well.